Hello there, my name's Anna Lundberg, and I'm a success coach and business strategist. I help people create a career, a business, a lifestyle that gives them more freedom, flexibility, and ultimately fulfilment in different areas of their lives. And in this little video, I wanted to talk a little bit more about clarity, getting clarity on what it is we really want to do. And I think a lot of us are clear on what it is we don't want to do. So when we're leaving behind the corporate 9 to 5 or considering doing so, there are certain elements of that proposition that we're rejecting. So there's the corporate element, that big private profit-driven corporation. That's a big machine where you're just a small part of that, and where the work perhaps fundamentally is not so meaningful to you and doesn't really feel like it's creating a meaningful impact in the world. And then there's the 9 to 5 element. So there's the piece of being sort of chained to your desk and your computer, stuck in an office every day, working those 9 to 5 hours, which of course are never 9 to 5. They're longer, we work in the evenings and weekends and so on. And perhaps we also have a boss who's telling us what to do, and that boss may or may not be a good boss. So I think we're clear on the things that we're rejecting, but we're not necessarily clear on what we're moving towards. So if not this, then what? And on the blog, I've been exploring a few different alternatives to that. And first of all, you can of course reject the corporate element of it and keep the 9 to 5 if you want to. So then you might consider moving sector. So away from private into public, perhaps into an NGO or a charity or a startup, and that might be enough to give you, get you onto that steeper learning curve, get you learning new skills, and just work in sort of an environment that's a bit different to where you were before, and also getting a bit closer to having some kind of meaningful impact there on the end consumer or in society as a whole. So that's one option for you, changing sector. Or you may want to become self-employed and break away from that sort of office, having a boss, 9 to 5 kind of setup, so creating much more freedom and flexibility. And that may be that you're a freelancer or a contractor, a consultant, lots of different sort of subtle variations there, but ultimately you're kind of choosing the clients you work with, the projects you're going to work on, your rates and so on. And of course, because you're more or less location independent there, you may be able to work from home, and you may also be able to go and often be a digital nomad and travel the world if you'd like to do that. So that's being self-employed. Again, a subtle difference would be setting up your own business. Essentially there you're creating something that in theory will be able to live on without you in the future. So you're probably setting up systems and automation and getting a team eventually as well. And you may well be a serial entrepreneur, in which case you'd be launching lots of different businesses. Or you might choose to be a solopreneur and just work by yourself. So lots of different options there too. And then finally, portfolio career, which is some sort of combination of those things. You might have a little business and also do some freelancing. You might continue consulting in an area you were doing before, and then start teaching yoga or something on the side. So sort of a combination, and again, giving quite a bit of flexibility and potentially diversifying your income as well. So a few different options there to explore. And in terms of working out what is the right fit for you, of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. And I'd really encourage you to think about the criteria of what it is you're looking for. So it's both what you don't want, but also importantly, what you do. So think about things like a location, and do you want to be in an office working at a computer, or do you want to be outside? Do you want to work alone or with other people? Do you want to be in a big company or a small company? Do you want to commute? Do you want to be able to work from home? Are you okay working by yourself? And so on. So as much detail as possible, from the sort of more mundane logistical elements up to the bigger, interesting projects, skills you want to use and impact you want to have in the world. So if you have that list in front of you, once you've sort of brainstormed all the things you can think of that might be important to you, you can really look at what are your top priorities. So what are the absolutely non-negotiable criteria? Perhaps you want to spend more time with your family, you definitely don't want to be tied to a desk Monday to Friday. What are the bits that are absolutely crucial for you when you're rejecting this corporate 9 to 5 and moving towards something else? Then you might have some other criteria that are important but not necessarily non-negotiable. And then finally, you might have some things that are nice to have, that yes, in an ideal world, we can have all these things, but really they're not so important, and you may be able to sort of forget about them, potentially at least in your new role. So having these criteria clear in your mind on a piece of paper in front of you will really help you to assess the different options that are on the table. When new potential job offers or business ideas come along, you'll be able to have more or less objective criteria for judging whether or not that is the right fit for you. So I hope you find that exercise useful. I certainly have in the past as I've been assessing different job opportunities and businesses. Another thing that's coming soon is a book that you may have seen that I've been talking about. So I've collected together a collection of stories of people who've left behind the corporate 9 to 5 and are pursuing some alternative career. And this, I'm hoping, is going to be a huge inspiration. And there'll also be lots of tips and ideas and insights that I've drawn out of these different stories for you. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy that criteria exercise, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.